Hello, thank you all for watching. This is Manny Sunny Sun with this week's astrological report from October 6th through October 12th, Monday through Sunday. And we want to talk about the full moon eclipse happening on Wednesday at 5:51 a.m. We'll be activating the Aryan energy, the martial energy, the red, fiery, intense time where things will be deep, they will be energized, and they will be intense. We begin with this week's moon in Pisces on the beginning of this week. The moon in Pisces, of course, it adds to the sensitivity. It adds where our personal boundaries are. It kind of diminishes the we. It kind of makes us all united for better said, just getting above any situation. The Piscean rulership of Neptune makes us expand away from the physical reality to really go above it and really not deal with the physical realm. We dream about the imagination, vivid imaginations, and where we kind of let things go and just meditate, seek inwards, let things go off for a day or two, go out on a vacation, mesmerize, those words, relax, and we just feel more in tune, and we expect things to go, leave things for a later day. So this is actually a very sensitive time for any work involving astrology, readings, seeking your oracle of your choice, and then we have moon sextiling Pluto, moon conjunction Chiron, moon squaring Mars, and moon trining Saturn. The moon sextiling moon sextiling Pluto, excuse me. This week we should be talking a little bit slower, more agreeable, getting the chance to really hear the other person. The moon sextiling Pluto, well, this involves the ideas of the deep, the intense, the occult, the sex, death, and rebirth. This makes us aware of where the people are, where the ideas are coming from, which the process of becoming also involves Pluto. So the identification of these aspects are to learn where it is that we are seeking more of the deep and psychological nature that involves the two people. The exchange of new ideas, the exchange of new learning and understanding, and the intensity and the awareness of a Pluto. It's about revealing, it's about uncovering the deep and psychological nature. And we like to also where we face the inevitable in life. It's also the time where it's about other people's money, other people's agenda, other people's debts, taxes, legal work, finances, debts, money, security, that sort of thing. This planet, this aspect harmonizes with the uncovering of these aspects. So we can cultivate a new level of understanding of how to earn money, of how to understand other people, and how to really identify within the context of going through transformation, going through a change in psyches, and how to utilize the money, and how to wrap up some sort of ordeal that you weren't aware of. So Pluto is here to make us aware of the fine things And then we have Moon and Moon trining, Moon trining Saturn. Of course, Moon, when it trines Saturn, of course, Moon is a disciplinarian. Saturn is a disciplinarian. Moon is our emotional nature. It symbolizes a receptivity and the interface that we, as a result, face the outside world. So, with these current changes, Moon is a very fast planet, and Saturn is a very stable, very warm, a very authoritative figure. So this time, we like to establish self-disciplinary acts. Try to have a good time. You appear very warm and comfortable with other people and situations, and your environment supports your ideas. And overall, everyone that's doing executive work, anyone that's holding up good standards or success through life, this would accompany, this would reveal the base, the structure, the whole creativity that are natural to you. At the same time, you'll be creating your own authority. Saturn, of course, it's about, Saturn rules the 10th house. Saturn, of course, is the disciplinarian, is the authoritative. It likes to see the hard work. And once it reveals that, it's about public identity. It's about how we achieve success in life. It also involves the dimensions of how we flow together in how we call our living environment. So overall, this gives us a very and a greater adjustment in the lives of others, in the lives of the people, with Moon trining Saturn. And hello, thank you all for joining me. This is Manny Sunnysun with this week's astrological report. And we begin this week on Monday with Moon trining Saturn. And Moon represents feeling emotionally receptive and channeling that expression into our duties, our responsibilities, and the limitations being set upon. So this involves more in the domestic side, or in other words, the situations that involves people, or getting around with those closer. And how we act and how we are in our being is being reflected upon those situations. And of course, we are feeling cool, we are feeling calm, we are feeling really balanced at the beginning of the week. So Monday, it's a very good time overall in following through your responsibilities, and really pushing ahead in such a way that you are looked at as very calm, as very cool, and you can work through the constructions, through following through, adjusting through very good way, still reaching forward into people, your love being, your relationships. Those opportunities are coming through and they're being fully reached into the area of friends and good partnerships, co-workers, relationships, and that idea. And such, it shows that your Moon receptivity, and Saturn, the planet of that protects us. You know, it sets the structure. It sets the limitations of not pushing forward so much, trying to get back into oneself. And then we have on Tuesday, we move on with Tuesday, Moon in Aries. Moon in Aries is, as it is known in astrology, the martial quality, the martial energy, the fiery combativeness, the impulsive actions, to really the action oriented, the firing up self-starting, the springing force of energies. This time it's actually challenging yourselves in any martial qualities that could take into manifestation if you channel it correctly in the ways of your appearance, changing some type of your appearance, because Mars, or Aries in other words, it's basically ruled by the first house, and it rules our appearance, it rules our skin, it rules the challenge, our urge, our first fighting instinct. So that's what it is. That's what it stands for. And then we have the martial energies, of course, are very pronounced at this time, which energizes, it excites us. It excites us for greater enthusiasm, greater vitality, very periods of going forward, challenging yourselves in these sort of aspects and these sort of values that we hold dear. So it's going forward with yesterday's projects and really pushing forward and elevating yourselves. Experimenting with the fast paced around you. So you'll be facing those qualities now. If you've put yourself out there, this is a good time for that. And I see overall that you'll be very organized. You'll like to present yourself with fast-paced people. So we have the Sun opposition Uranus, which of course the Sun, it's our vitality, it's our confidence, it's our how we use the energies. From the heart is the light source, our central power lighthouse, so to speak, and the concepts that arise from this, it's the our strong, it stands for the radiation from the center of our core. And the opposition, of course, means projecting some sort of inharmonious aspects that are opposite to someone else's ideas, or being too, because Uranus strengthens that and says that it's a planet of independence, of freedom. Uranus is a planet of astrology. In many ways, it's about Uranus is about creativity, shocking other people, it's inventiveness, it's about just going forward in life. And Uranus, of course, it's about using your own free will. It's also very creative. It likes to shock people with its creativity. It doesn't want to, it wants to subordinate some type of aspects and just really create from its own self. It replicates itself. So when we have Sun, our personal confidence, and Uranus, the planet of creativity, whatever you want, the planet of inventiveness, and the oppositions here would signify being caught in between yourself, your I, your confidence, your Sun, and the individual portrayal of Uranus. So there's a projection of how I am confident in my approach, and the nature in how we can overcome the challenges, the fears, the opposite ways of how we can get ourselves out of any approach that is accidental. So it's being stretched too thin. It's being like you're being pulled apart. So being eccentric, being inventiveness, being vivacious, and confronting your own self-identity, your confidence. So this involves many things: being too scattered, being jumpy, being erratic, being impulsive, being never try to finish something. You're really out there with power, but Uranus, a planet of shock, It makes you like you don't want to push things through, and in an effective manner, this could keep you being very accidental. Of course, with the opposition, there's a tendency in others that seem difficulty. Of course, this because of you, the son of Libra. The enthusiasm is not there. There's no share of emotions overall. You're open. You're open out there, but you're indecisive. The negative side of this is that you're being too suspicious of others. You're taking too many risks, or this could be you're having an affair. You have an unstable life. Of course, Uranus. This could go on the other hand. This could be very positive. If you're into something that's very creative, very freedom-like writing, taking a trip, or doing hiking, or taking a risk, or doing the outstanding thing, taking the message to the limit would be getting into astrology. Uranus rules astrology. Uranus rules Aquarius. So you like to get into the occult. You like to get into metaphysics, the science of how to better approach the plan forward. So really get the message would be going into self-discovery. It's the moment where it's about yourselves, and the change forward would indicate using the better conditions in response to the spreading yourself too thin. Astrology would help significantly in your approach to life. In case of Uranus, the planet of freedom, astrology would be a significant indicator. Or the other hand, this could be yourself purchasing a big ticket item, because Uranus tends to shock people with things of that nature. Just for shocking people, of course. Uranus is about light, shock, electricity, inventiveness. So create the odds. People seem to find you odd in just your way of approach, because people you're projecting, or people are projecting to you, is like you're feeling too bored with life. So they, whatever is the law of reciprocity, it means that you're feeling like there's not too many crazy things happening. So just to kickstart the Tuesday, whatever it is, you'll be happy that somebody did something just to get you out there and get on the road to freedom and really get yourself out there. So if anything else, I think it's just have a little more excitement in life, get out there, express your own confidence with good vivacity, and centralize your own duties. You're usually very spread out. You have scattered minds, but at this time, try to have those core beliefs and really centralize those goals. And be a little bit careful, because you'll end up probably you'll probably get your teeth knocked inside. So just be a little bit objective, be a little bit, try to distinguish what are the two polarities, what would be your best choice. And at this time, it would be yourself. It would be better of your approach if you take a new class or a study of that sort to promote some type of core belief, some growth of your spirit. Hello, thank you all for watching. This is Manny Sunnysun with this week's astrological report. We begin with Wednesday with the lunar eclipse, happening in the sign of Aries. And we have a lot of complicated energy at this time where it's a bit hectic, it's a bit erratic on our emotional nature. So the moon rules our emotions, and more than anything, we feel like in the positions of these planets and the aspects and the configuration, because it affects our emotions. It represents how we react to situations, and the emotional background, the interface which we face the environments. It denotes sometimes of a really the nervousness, opposition. We have many configurations. Let's begin with what is a lunar eclipse. Well, we have the sun, and we have opposition to the sun is the moon, and in between we have the earth. So the gravitational pull of these energies, it really is, we're being pulled by the sun's energies, by the sun's gravitation, and by the lunar activities, which reveals to us the emotions. And between the distance of the sun and the moon, this we can relate to ourselves. We can relate to how we relate to others and how we relate to those significant persons that hold great quality, that give a lot of output into the arenas of relationships, into our actions, our direction in life, and in this, our essence, our bliss, our reactions towards others. So the output that the sun is giving to ourselves, our emotional body, has a signification of opposition. We're being reflected sun lunar emotional tides, emotional instability, or in other words, feeling uncomfortable, and more so than often, this appears in our attitudes, in the way of our being, in the way of how we feel emotionally satisfied. And I've got another little keynote on full moons. There is a special term that it's lunacy or lunatic, where people, of course, people go a little bit crazy. Their emotions get a little bit more than what is needed, and at times people drink. And people don't know how much they've drank, so they go a bit crazy, they overdose, and many complicated things after that. And so we're concerned with the sun, our confidence, our nature, in which we feel completely opposite or being completely pulled to bits in our emotional nature. So we will continue. We have many aspects in this report. Let's begin with Sun opposition Moon, Moon conjunction Uranus, Moon trining Mars, Moon trining Jupiter, Venus squaring Pluto, Mars trining Jupiter, Moon opposition Venus, and we have Libra and Venus. We have Pluto in Capricorn, Uranus in Aries. The Moon is in Aries, giving us that energetic stimulation. So we will see a part of our individual, our I amness, being divided or being pulled to bits in this opposition between the Sun and the Moon at this lunar eclipse. So many of our ways of being are Moon, which is emotional nature, being emotionally receptive between the environments. We have Pluto, a bit of a stimulation there, and we have Venus, which is a part of our way of our habits, our relationships. We have them. We have a way to irritate those people that we love. We have between the company with that we work in, or the emotional desires, the harmony to feel comfortable, is exactly telling us that we can't stay with those people that we love. So we see complications in those areas where a little bit of too much of that could become a little bit of what makes us combine these energies. A little bit of how we know how to relate to someone is being influenced in a great major way, and the challenging aspects between the lives of others, Venus relationships, harmony, of course. Um, Seeing in one's life the opposition. Uh, this could be the moon and Venus in relationship. There could be an imbalance of relationships within our home. Our relationships could go towards self-indulgence in sweet foods and overindulgence in being extravagant in your approach to finding the approach to really sit down with another one and really demand yourself automatically to somebody else. So in love, this could take many ways. Of course, Venus in Libra, it's seeking the balance, the standard, and really the emotions, how we can approach them. Um, at this time, there can be many ways we can learn how to be emotionally stable with somebody else. And those people that we love, we desire, of course. Venus is the planet of luxury, of feeling good overall. And also it represents the money, our desires, our popularity, our relationships to others, how we go about ourselves and bringing the right um, build up of energies at this time. So at this way, we'd like to just impress somebody else by being over extravagant, indulging in our senses, regardless of the situation at this time. So it's really just being honest at this time. We're being honest with our emotions, our relationships, and we go on with Pluto and Mars trining. Well, we have another configuration, Mars and trining the sign of Aries. Mars trining Jupiter. So Mars is a planet of action, of high energies. And then we have Jupiter, which is about studies, about the goals in life, and choosing mostly how to relate to someone in an emphatic way. So emphatically, we have these expressions that we need to build a greater structure using our actions in combinations with our relationship to others, which more than often is about reaching most in depth and how we foresee those others. So Mars trining Jupiter, it's about having great optimism, creating buildup of good energies, and the ability to really enhance the way of others in your senses, and you have the ability to really just work through the problems in a greater optimistic way. So you enjoyed mostly working in good works and projects, and really the emotions are perfect. There's nothing wrong at this time. There's good relationships towards others, good approaches in your philosophies and your works, and the mind is working very well in really revealing the problem. So this involves, of course, traveling, philosophies, taking the risks in sports, outdoors, really having the disciplinary actions, and really seeing good takes into that, which are very natural. You like to go out and taking the action towards that. So there's not much of an action, or there's not too much of a stressful aspect in terms of our emotions. There's actually in terms of when there is some kind of crazy emotions at this time, we're very diplomatic. We like to research, we like to involve ourselves in relations to others, really getting the issue solved. So you like to satisfy those, and being optimistic, always being optimistic. Those are the key words for Jupiter. And Mars is about really getting forward. So it's action and being mostly outdoors, Jupiter and Mars. And then we have Venus squaring Pluto, and Venus and squaring Pluto. The aspects signify the ideas, the relationships, the people that are nitpicky around you. So your people seek power struggles. There's some type of possessiveness in relationships with Pluto seeking deep, and Venus and up in squaring, which is the element of opposition that are seeks personal advantage against someone else. So there's so in the lives of others, in the lives of the relationships with others, we seek some type of uh, enjoyment, or in other words, in excess of over excitement. Um, the emotions, Pluto, sex, death, and rebirth, and then you have what begins as a relationship, as a friend, could go on into a really deep sexual attraction for someone else. So you love this other person. Venus and Uranus, it's a very good time for any um, uplifting of the emotional sexual appeal of someone, bringing a really good attraction. The elements that shows really, in many ways, a new way of someone else. Also relates that you have your life settled, and you like to settle with someone in the pleasures, in hanging around in the long run. So this is about having that position in life, dealing with the problems, whatever comes around in this relationship. Now at this time would work out as a very effective way. We like to now have fun in lust, and you may actually really realize that you have a sexual attraction, you have your appeal, and you relate with the partner of your choice now, unfettered with any of the past fears, challenges, on that sort of thing that features with the square, which is very, very tense. We seek the unique abilities that resonate within Venus and Pluto, which is about going through the process of becoming that relationship. So first, you start the relationship, and then you realize that you have no restraint. You don't have the challenges that were at the beginning, and then you like to build up more. You actually have a close relationship involved at this time. So Venus, we have good sense of that. Hi, thank you all for watching. This is Manny Sunnysun with Thursday's astrological report. We have two separate angles and aspects happening this day. We have the moon entering in Taurus. The moon is void, of course, at 6:44 a.m. and it moves into Taurus. This time, before we were activated with energetic passions, this day seems kind of favorable and really optimistic to really get into that subject and matter. And Taurus is a fixed sign, so we're a little bit stubborn, a little bit in place. We are a little bit more concerned within our bodies, our appearance, our love towards relationships, and really find that agreeable content within it. So moon in Taurus, I think it's very favorable, it's very comfortable, and it feels okay with relationships. And we have the moon opposition Mercury. Again, some type of mercurial tendencies at this time, which would happen, of course. Mercury rules intelligence, Mercury rules the mind, communications, broadcasting, and of course we're in retrograde season. And on Friday we have Mercury going back into Libra, where stationed in retrograde in Scorpio, and now we have this in Libra. This is a retrograde in Libra. And then we have the moon on Thursday, moon opposition Mercury, which it's about expressing our intelligence, our wittiness, our communications, both action in words, in speech, or in thoughts. We're able to sort out the situations that involves this articulation and links with other people. So at this time, we're very meaningful in investigating what to say. These sort of actions, you'll come into the opposition and getting too caught up into the truth and searching for the links between the relationships, the ancestors, or getting caught up in so many ways that there seems to overdo it, and you seem to just wallow away the day and just talking about the other person, really connecting towards the other person, conveying those words, messages, and the opposition means that you'll probably find a tension or difficulty or challenge in getting that that word out. So there's a little bit of insecurities marketed with the lack of completing those words, and because we're in retrograde, we would see being even projecting more of that irritation, worrisome with mind and inner bodies of insecurities, of feelings of not feeling worth, that we're not feeling good at all, with the very reason that we've brought this Mercury retrograde into our placement. So this would create some instability, some also going back, linking ourselves back into familiar grounds, which would be our ancestors, our genealogy, our going back into history, mythology, that sort of action within the context of synchronicities, broadcasting. Where our attention goes would be to keep doing that work. With Mercury in this planet, what resonates a lot of what it is that we're bringing up at this situation, which generally involves the other person, and the love of healing, the love of storytelling, the love of discussing these sort of connections around the world, of course. Because Mercury is about getting into the situations, making that good words have a lot of meaning, in particular right now, which is about getting totally involved in the desires of someone else, having the particular interest of somebody else. So we're linking someone else, sort of coping with the skills and the articulation and wittiness within the situations in that environment. So we move on with Moon in Taurus and Friday. And Friday we have Moon trining Pluto, Moon sextiling Chiron, so healing and deep healing, Moon squaring Jupiter, and then Mercury moves into Libra, back into Libra, and then we have the Sun sextiling Jupiter. At this time we have Jupiter and the Sun. Of course, we have a lot of optimism with the Sun, and we have good skills with other people with the sextiling, which involves good confidence, good light-hearted discussions, where we take our knowledge, our philosophies, our higher mind, and we just throw ourselves out there with great confidence, good self-esteem, a certain measure of optimism, a certain measure of creativity, of lightheartedness to achieve those higher philosophies, going into discussions that transform the whole morality, the ethics, the whole fair being brought into a different transformation. So, and with Pluto there, we see deeper transformations occurring as we become more involved in those relationships with any sort of philosophies, whether it be astrology, whether it be your source, wherever you gather your information. This would be exponentially greater in your release of potential freedom. Whatever articulate subject you are in, that would create that transformation, that you'll become more involved with the other person deep, and rest assured there'll be some good healing, good freedom, and good sense of belonging in that sort of situation. You are very witty at this time. You are working hard. You are in control of the factors within your environment. So the situation is protected based on those discussions. Very feeling lighthearted. Sun trying sextiling Jupiter. Jupiter's in Leo. Sun is in Libra. Of course, we are living in lives of grandeur, of royalty. Of course, the Sun, based on astrology, is about in our identity, central identity of royalship, and really staying intact with a lot of luck, a lot of optimism. Really, the ego is sort of really protected, and with Jupiter and Leo, this gives us even an expansion of royalty, a religious tone. This denotes much in our lives. This aspect has earned its benefits. It's earned its life, its thoughts. It's very thoughtful to the degree of being big-hearted, of being optimistic in dealing with sort of all the ideals that have represented so far. So I would certainly say that Friday is also a good time to really get into those discussions. And then we have on Saturday, we move into the moon in Gemini, moon void of course, at 10:51 a.m. in Gemini. And we have a tense aspect with Saturn, moon opposition Saturn, Venus opposition Uranus. That's very good. And the moon enters into Gemini. Hello, thank you all for watching. This is Manny Sunny Sun with this week's astrological report. We begin with Saturday. We have a couple of planetary aspects we should talk about. We have the moon in Gemini. We have Venus opposition Uranus. And we have the moon opposition Saturn, the planet of limitations. So we shall begin with moon in Gemini. Moon in Gemini, of course, the moon is our receptivity towards the environment, our emotional nature, how we nurture our emotions towards another being. And also it could mean an upbringing of emotion. It could be our early environment. The first impressions by the moon, it's about being reflected, what's being shown upon. It's the light within. So when we have the moon in Gemini, it makes us even more letting the emotions out in communicating. Mercury, of course, is a planet of communications. It is a planet of linking, observations, analytical. It gives that sort of, it denotes social interaction, social versatility. It means about adapting towards an environment. It's Mercury is about creating thoughts, emotions, about ideas. Ideas being communicated in a manner of superficial. It's about Gemini. It's about Mercury. And because we're in the Mercury Retrograde, we should be feeling a little bit more about curious, going back, feeling a little bit frayed upon, of hurts or some kind of attention that wants to seek open and wants to seek some light. And so in these terms, with Gemini, moon in Gemini, it means spreading out, spreading yourself out there, putting yourself out there. We could either be going into necessary adjustments that need some more, whether it be gathering up information, putting yourself out there in information like television, broadcasting media, journalism, newspapers, traveling, short distance, all that Gemini represents. And in more ways than another, it means working in global areas. So it could be putting yourself, bringing together ideas that serve global causes or global situations that represents that emotion that spreads and gathers. So Moon, Gemini, good time. Gemini time is perfect for Saturday 11th. So we move on with the Moon opposition Saturn. And the Moon void, of course, also do not make any hasty decisions in terms of signing documents, legal work, traveling, that sort of thing. Just keep it locally. Go visit a friend. Uh, seek the seek consultation of your oracle of choice. You should better do that. Seek me. I do astrological consultations. And commercial break. Moon opposition Saturn. Well, we have this afraid of really putting yourself out there. Moon opposition Saturn, of course, feeling a little bit restricted between the discipline, being a little bit compulsive, a little bit urge these instincts that represent. So in Saturn opposition, we seek a little bit of reality, like to stay on the ground, receive some structure, receive some agreeable form of appreciation in terms of the way you put yourself out there in meaningful situations with one person. So this would be an ideal time to really just seek your astrologer, find a peace within. I would finally say that Moon opposition Saturn would be a great time. And then we move on with Venus opposition Uranus. Venus and Uranus. This is a very good time for any love gathering. This is perfect time because Venus is about meeting the other person. It's like relationships, appraising someone. People like to be appealed by their appearance. This would be a perfect time for superficiality, of course. Perfect in Gemini. This would be the strong suit for finding that unique partner because Uranus is about freedom, is about creativity, of shocking people, of course. So you tend to go out there just to find a partner. So you tend to keep the faith up in love. You like to keep love in youth, the relationships based on emotional and sexuality, that sort of young vibe, very love and very quick in that sort of play. So Moon in opposition with Uranus. You're sort of caught up in the moment, the stimulations between the Venus and opposition Uranus would indicate a time where you'll be tested. You'll be tested by your talent,